Good morning, nation. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Headliners Unfiltered, Monday, February 23rd. It is noon. USA. 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 Gold medals. Men's and women's hockey. Hockey game was great. Hockey game was great. For those of you that watched, you enjoyed it. For those of you that didn't, you probably didn't want to get up at 8 a.m. I totally get it. I will not lie. I did not get up at 8 a.m., but I caught a majority of it. The alarm was not being set for the game. I was relaxing. Also, kids and I went to a concert on Saturday night. We were out late, so I wasn't about to get up early. It is what it is. What's going on, everybody? Papa J, Aaron, Lorenzo, welcome in. Glad to have everybody here. We're going to talk fantasy football rankings today. We're going to talk fantasy football rankings. We're going to go ahead and do some tiered rankings. We're going to talk about them as a group. We're going to talk about them as a stream. I want your opinions. I want your analysis. I want to hear what you have to say. I want your questions. What up, Callie? I've been so busy lately. I haven't been able to make it to these. Hope everyone is well. Callie, thank you so much for being here today, at least. Hope you're doing well. Dylan, Wesley, perfect lunchtime live. Let's go. Let's go. Perfect timing if you're taking your lunch right now. And, you know, when you're done with your lunch and you need a little bit of dessert, I can do that for you, too. I'm kidding. I'm killing. Stop it. Stop it. We don't talk like that around here. Let's do some fantasy football tier rankings. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to start. It says we're going to start with running backs. I'm actually going to change that. Let's go ahead and start with quarterbacks and tight ends because we only have like 18 people here right now. And while I appreciate every single one of the 18 people that are here, I would like to maybe hold off for a few minutes and talk about the more important positions, if you will, if we get a few more people in here chilling with us. So let's start at the quarterback position. Let's start at the quarterback position. All aggression to start the day. Steven, you know exactly how we do it around here. Let's talk about quarterbacks. Let's talk about quarterbacks. And we're talking about 2026. Now, I'm going to give you the consensus ranking first. I will give you the consensus ranking first. And then we will discuss too high, too low, who should go in their place, things of that nature. Okay? So get your fingers ready. This is interactive. I want people in the chat talking. This is just not me. I want your thoughts and opinions as well. Number one, Josh Allen. I think we can all agree that Josh Allen actually probably deserves to be at number one. Okay? Again, these are 2026 pre-NFL draft, pre-combine, pre-free agency. What up, Oliver? Josh Allen is the consensus QB1. Drake May is at number 2. Interesting. Lamar Jackson at number 3. Joe Burrow, 4. Jaden Daniels, 5. Jalen Hurts, 6. Jackson Dart at 7. Justin Herbert at 8. Trevor Lawrence, 9. Caleb Williams, 10. Brock Purdy, 11. Dak Prescott at number 12. So that's the consensus top 12 quarterbacks right now. Josh Allen, Drake May, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Jackson Dart, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott. For the consensus top 12 right now at quarterback, I can already tell you there's a couple of things that I am not in love with. I am not in love with a couple of things already. What are we thinking as a chat? 100% for Josh Allen. He's the definition of consistency. Stafford isn't even top 12. He's not. He is not. the consensus rankings have Patrick Mahomes in front of Matthew Stafford, and we don't even know when Mahomes is going to step on the field or be healthy enough to play at 100%. I think the biggest thing for me is Drake May being at number 2. That's spicy. That is spicy. I get he was solid this past season. I have absolutely nothing against Drake May. If you know, I actually put out a short this past offseason where I was like, hey, if you're looking for some sneaky upside late in the draft, it's Drake May. Here is why. These are redraft rankings. Redraft rankings. This is why. Okay? So I like Drake May. I've got nothing against him, but there's an issue that I take with it. I get he was QB2 this past season. Get that. But Drake May doesn't have a legitimate number 1 wide receiver. He's got Stephon Diggs, who I think is good, but I don't think he's the Stephon Diggs that we saw in New England, that we saw in Buffalo, that we saw in Minnesota. I think he is a solid 1A if there was a 1B, or a solid 1B if there was a 1A. But he doesn't really have, and even at the tight end position, he has Hunter Henry. And I think there's going to be some questions about his offensive line after what we saw from them in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson right behind him. More upside, in my opinion, when it comes to rushing ability on the ground. Drake May, solid. Don't get me wrong. Lamar Jackson is a completely different beast when it comes to what they do on the ground. You could argue Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews are probably above Hunter Henry and Stephon Diggs. And, of course, you still have Derrick Henry in the run game. Joe Burrow at number 4. Jamar Chase. T. Higgins. Chase Brown. And a defense that still is not great. So he's going to throw the ball a lot. Jaden Daniels, obviously upside on the ground. Has Terry McLaurin. Jalen Hurts has A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Jackson Dart has Malik Neighbors, hopefully. Wan'Dale Robinson. Justin Herbert has Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston. Trevor Lawrence. You could say Brian Thomas Jr., but I don't know if he should be in the realm of any of those guys after his sophomore slump this past season. But Jacoby Myers signs his deal. Travis Hunter will be back next year. We'll see how that plays out. Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze still. Dak Prescott, as of right now with Dak Prescott, still. CeeDee Lamb, obviously. Hopefully George Pickens as well. Brock Purdy would be the other one here, where as of right now, I don't know if he deserves to be where he's at, because what does Brock Purdy have? No George Kittle, who snapped his Achilles. Who knows when he'll be back? Juwan Johnson is a free agent. Brandon Ayuk has already been cut loose. He'll be in free agency. And I get Ricky Pearsall can be a dynamic playmaker, but Ricky Pearsall couldn't stay on the field this past year. It's a lot of question marks for me for guys like Drake May and Brock Purdy. For me personally, I would have to say Josh Allen absolutely at number 1. But I think you have to argue that Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Jaden Daniels all deserve to be ahead of Drake May and potentially Jalen Hurts. So how far do we think Drake May drops? How far do we think Drake May drops? Do we drop him down below Jalen Hurts and then go Allen, Jackson, Burrow, Daniels, Hurts, and May? I would put, honestly, Burrow above Lamar Jackson right now. I would put Burrow at number 2. If I'm doing my quarterback rankings, I'm putting Burrow at number 2. That's happening. Right, have Justin Herbert ranked higher than May this season. Lorenzo, you have Justin Herbert higher than May, okay? Maybe he belongs at the top of tier 2 or end of tier 1. Jester. I don't hate that. Rashid Rice and Tyreek Hill, who can stop that? Oh, okay. Well, should have read before I read out loud. Does Hurts drop out of the top 10? No. Not dropping Hurts out of the top 10. Dak, I feel, is always undervalued. He's never a top favorite, but every year they put up a ton of points, and he does great production wise. May was number 2 last year with essentially no weapons. Why the hate? Well, because Drake May is going to have a far tougher schedule in 2026 than he did in 2025. And I did a video just not last week, but the week before about Drake May and what he would be experiencing. And here, let me go back and grab some of those notes for you here real quick. Drake May, runner-up at MVP in 2025. Could be much more difficult in 2026. Struggled down the stretch with shaky playoff performances against really good defense. The O-line clearly is going to need some help. Will Campbell stay at left tackle? Biggest argument regarding Drake May was strength of schedule in 2025. As the schedule was announced, they had the 3rd weakest strength of schedule with a 429 opponent win percentage. As it was adjusted to account for in-season strength, the Pats came in with an adjusted strength of schedule of negative 2.8, 10th lowest in NFL history. So not only was their schedule extremely weak to start the season, but after they got in season, it was worse. Their schedule is actually worse. And now in 2026, they're going to have games against the entire NFC North, the Lions, the Packers, and the Minnesota Vikings, and the Chicago Bears, sorry. They're going to have to play Denver. They're going to have to play Jacksonville. They're going to have to play the Los Angeles Chargers, and they're going to have a rematch with the Seattle Seahawks. Aaron just shared. I know. You got me, though. You got me. Burrow at number 2. I would like to see Lamar's weapons this year as first. However, no matter what, Lamar is a top 5, even without big weapons. He's kind of showcased that. And we have more background on Lamar Jackson at this point than what we have with Drake May. My other biggest concern has to be Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy here at 11 and 12. Dak Prescott is ahead of Brock Purdy for me. Easy. I think people could say Caleb Williams deserves to be ahead of Dak Prescott. I think people could say Trevor Lawrence deserves to be ahead of Dak Prescott. I would say that I have Dak Prescott above Justin Herbert, who Justin Herbert is at number 8. So if I were to put Dak Prescott above Herbert, but we don't think Lawrence or Williams should be above Herbert, then that means those two guys are going to have to bounce up above him. Last year, Dak Prescott in 17 games finished as the QB5. Caleb Williams was at QB6. Justin Herbert was at QB10. Now for Justin Herbert, a lot of that has to do with how terrible his offensive line was after the injury last year to the tackles at right tackle and left tackle. I think May should be around 6 to 8. If May shows another year of production like he did last year and improves against that tough schedule, I think undisputed top 5. Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. If we get another MVP caliber performance from Drake May and nobody can argue strength of schedule, then obviously he's going to be a top candidate moving forward. My hope is that with free, and this can change too, because with free agency and the draft, who knows what New England does for Drake May? I would assume one of their goals is to get him another weapon. That is really where quarterbacks start to flourish in year 2 and year 3, is when you get them legitimate weapons. Now, Stephon Diggs was coming back from an injury, maybe wasn't 100% to begin the year, still looked solid at times, especially towards the end of the season. For me, I think Stephon Diggs, like I said, can be a 1B to somebody if they have a 1A, but I think they need another weapon. I think they need another weapon. What up, Brad? Dallas will re-sign Pickens likely by the end of the week. Yes. I personally think Pickens stays in Dallas. That's why I'm willing to rank Dak Prescott that high right now. I would probably bump Caleb Williams above Trevor Lawrence. I would say right now, as much as I love Jackson Dart, and I am a big Jackson Dart fan, as much as I love Jackson Dart is down at 11 for me right now. I know the upside with the rushing is absolutely there, but we do need to just keep in mind at any point in time, does he maybe take a step back after a couple of the hits that he took last season? So maybe that does still happen. Okay, maybe that does still happen. But Wan'Dale Robinson is a free agent. Does he leave? Where does he go? And Malik Neighbors, where is he at health-wise to begin the year? So Jackson Dart to me has enough question marks that I got to move Jackson Dart back. I got him at 11 right now. Me personally, I'm going to go, man, I could see why somebody would argue Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence after Dak Prescott. I can see that. For me right now, Allen Burrow at 1 and 2. Lamar Jackson at 3. I'm still going to go with Jaden Daniels at 4. If the injury bug starts to kill him again, then obviously he's going to take a massive drop this season. Jalen Hurts at 5. I'll give Drake May the benefit of the doubt and leave him at 6. Do not tempt me with putting Dak Prescott over Drake May, because you know what? F it, I'm going to do it. Dak Prescott at 6 over Drake May, who drops back to 7 for me. Drake May at 7. Caleb Williams at 8. You know what? F it. I'm going to go Caleb Williams over Drake May as well. Again, weapons. It's about weapons for me. Weapons. Both good on the ground, right? Solid on the ground. In terms of offense, I'll take Ben Johnson over Josh McDaniels right now. No offense to Josh McDaniels. He's obviously had a stellar career as an offensive coordinator. So I'm going Allen, Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Daniels, Hurts, Prescott, Williams, May, T-Law, Justin Herbert, Jackson Dart. I still have an issue with Brock Purdy at 12. At least I'm going Matthew Stafford over Brock Purdy. I think he deserves it. I think he's earned it. After what he did this past season, and heck, you know what? Matthew Stafford, I'm going over Jackson Dart and Justin Herbert as well. Let's move Stafford up even a little bit more. Let's move him up even a little bit more. Allen at 1, Burrow, Jackson Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Trevor Lawrence, Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert, Jackson Dart. That is who I would say is my top 12 right now. My top 12 right now. Who could make the top 12 after that? Who are some outside guys looking in? Number 1, first and foremost, is Patrick Mahomes. We're going to look at Patrick Mahomes. It depends on when he's healthy, though. If Patrick Mahomes were healthy to begin the season, and maybe not be 100%, but be able to be out there week 1, Patrick Mahomes has top 12 potential. Brock Purdy, I would say he has top 12 potential. Bo Nix, I think, is going to be right on the outside looking in. I would like to see them get him a little bit more of an established weapon On the other side of Cortland Sutton, maybe do something in free agency at the tight end position. Jordan Love right after that. Jordan Love, I think that they do. I think that Romeo Doubs sees his way out. And I wonder if they bring in a veteran wide receiver to replace him that has more consistency from the rest of the wide receivers, what they've shown so far. After that would be Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff has a great opportunity to be back inside the top 12 this year. Jared Goff this past season ended at QB8, and you could argue that that offense was up and down and inconsistent for the majority of the year. When they went off, they would go off. But he was QB8, and the offense itself was at best a majority of the time. So I would say Purdy, Mahomes, Nix, Love, Goff. I would also throw Baker Mayfield in there. Sam Darnold, somebody said. Aaron, Sam Darnold. You could argue Sam Darnold as well. The lunatic, tagging Pickens is step one if pursued in negotiating a contract. Question is, does that happen before the 2026 season? So Pickens at worst will play on a tag year. At worst. I don't think Dallas lets him walk. I don't. Papa J said Mayfield. Absolutely. Steven, I'd argue Stafford even needs to be higher. That offense is stupid efficient, and he didn't look like he slowed down at all. I would agree with you. I mean, I've got him at 10 right now. I think you could argue over Trevor Lawrence. I think you could argue over Drake May. I think once you get to Caleb Williams, you probably start to have a few more questions about what he can and can't do at that point because of what Caleb Williams can do with his legs. I think at Dak Prescott, I think some of that comes down to just the defense for Dallas not being as good as the defense for the Rams. Therefore, Dallas just throwing the ball a little bit more often. And then Hurts, Daniels, Lamar Jackson. All those guys are going to put up some stuff with their legs. So I think you have to keep in mind, too, that when you take a look, Matthew Stafford and Drake May finished at 2 and 3 this season. But what about some guys behind him, like, Patrick Mahomes, 14 games. Daniel Jones, where he was at, playing so well. He only ended up playing 13 games. Lamar Jackson only played 13 games. CJ Stroud played 14 games. Brock Purdy, 9 games. Joe Burrow, 8 games. So there's some guys there that could have challenged. Jaden Daniels, 7 games. So there's some guys there that could have. Kyler Murray, 5 games. I keep saying that. I start a new sentence and then I stop because I say. So there's some guys there that could have finished much higher, but due to injuries, didn't. If those guys are healthy this season, I think they do end up pushing a couple of those guys down. Callie, I received a notification that said Dallas is expected to franchise tag Pickens. Yeah, I would highly anticipate that happening. Jester, I can see this conversation going past an hour today. I can't go past an hour because I have something that I have to get done at 1. And then my kids are with me this week, so I need to be available for them when they get off school. So I'm not going to be going past 1 o'clock today. I've got to end at 1. But if the conversation drags on too long, guess what? We'll just pick it up next time. So that's how I would look at the top 12 right now. And that's who I would look at as being kind of those guys on the outside looking in. Now, here's the thing. Let's name one player that has a dark horse shot that we didn't name already, a dark horse chance of being a QB1 this season that we have not already talked about. I have 2 names. 2. The first one is low-hanging fruit. That's why I'm going to give you 2 names. The first one's Jacoby Brissett, with how he played in Atlanta last year, with how good he looked. If they throw the ball that much this season, and he's the QB all season long, okay, Jacoby Brissett could be 1. Number 2, stay with me here. Nobody has said it yet. Can anybody guess? Jesse, that's a great guess, but I'm not going to say JJ. I'm biasing out of that one. Nobody has said it yet. Greg says Tyler Shuck. Mendoza from John. No one said the name yet. TJ, Cam Ward is a good guess. Cam Ward is a good guess. I agree that he could definitely be that guy if they make some offensive changes. He needs weapons. He needs weapons. Someone just said the name, though. Papa J said Malik Willis. And that depends on where he lands. Let's say Malik Willis lands where I talked about his best free agency landing spot would be. Let's say Malik Willis lands in Indianapolis with Jonathan Taylor, Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs. Maybe they re-sign Alec Pierce. Maybe they don't. With his rushing upside and how good he looked at times with Green Bay, he is clearly grown. I think you got to strongly consider Malik Willis as a dark horse top 12 candidate depending on where he lands. Maybe that's spicy. I don't care, because I don't know anything less than spicy. Let's move on to the tight end position. Let's talk about the consensus top 12 at tight end right now. Consensus has number 1, Trey McBride. 2, Brock Bowers. 3, Colston Loveland. 4, Tucker Kraft. 5, Harold Fannin. 6, Tyler Warren. 7, Sam Laporta. 8, Kyle Pitts. 9, Dalton Kincaid. 10, Oronde Gadsden. 11, Jake Ferguson. 12, Juwan Johnson. Now, here's a little bit of an issue at the tight end position this season. Number 1, Trey McBride. Is Jacoby Brissett going to be his quarterback? If not, and it's Kyler Murray, then we're not feeling, Okay. Tucker Kraft is coming back from a knee injury. Is he 100% to start the year? Sam Laporta is coming back from an injury. Is he 100% to start the year? Kyle Pitts could end up leaving in free agency. He could end up being tagged. We don't know as of yet. We know that George Kittle is hurt. We know that Dallas Goedert is a free agent. We know that Travis Kelce is a free agent. If he goes anywhere, it's obviously back to Kansas City. He's not going to go play anywhere else. Not going to happen. What up, Gabe? Did you say that you had Minnesota winning the NFC North? They were my way too early pick to win the NFC North. Yep. If so, by proxy, JJ would have to be a top 12 quarterback. I don't think he would have to be. I think you could win. I think you could win the conference or the division and not have a top 12 quarterback. Outside the top 12, Sam Darnold was at 13. They won the West. Jordan Love was a wild card team. He was at 15. Aaron Rodgers was a wild card team. He was at 18. Bryce Young, they won the division. He was at 19. CJ Stroud was at 21. I would say Brock Purdy, but he missed quite a bit of time. So that one doesn't really count in my opinion. So I don't think you'd have to be top 12 to say that they're winning. What type of football am I watching? What do you mean? Just football? Like, are you talking college? Pro? We're talking NFL fantasy football rankings right now. Stroud was not top 12. Loveland to the moon if DJ and Kmet find their ways out. So Colston Loveland is at number 3. He's at number 3. Colston Loveland is at number 3 right now. The way I look at it is that Cole Kmet doesn't have to leave Chicago for Colston Loveland to be good because they fill 2 different roles. Does it help? Yes. It obviously would help, but it doesn't have to happen. DJ Moore is the question mark there for me. DJ Moore ends up being the question mark for me. Because if DJ Moore leaves, then I think we've got a guy that could then absorb a significant amount of targets at that point. Because I don't think they're going to utilize Luther Burden over Colston Loveland. And I don't think Romo Dunze is going to be a guy that commands 10 plus targets every week. Steve and Kyle, do we think Strange comes back and benefits from the offensive weapons and becomes relevant again? He's on the outside. We'll talk about that in just a second. Okay, y'all are getting ahead of us right now. Okay, we're talking top 12 to begin with. So let's talk about those rankings. McBride, Bowers, Loveland, Kraft, Fannin, Warren, Laporta, Pitts, Kincaid, Gadsden, Ferguson, Johnson. That's who we have inside the top 12 right now. I would agree, not even knowing if Jacoby Brissett is going to be the quarterback, I would agree that we leave Trey McBride at number 1. I will leave Brock Bowers at number 2, assuming which Fernando Mendoza is drafted number 1 overall. No, we're talking football, not football. Not football. The Soccer Titans. Or, as other countries may call it, football americano. I would leave Trey McBride and Brock Bowers at 1 and 2. I could switch them too. McBride has more upside than Bowers. Bowers, as of right now, not knowing what the quarterback situation is, Bowers might be safer. You could argue that. Loveland at 3 is spicy. It is. Without knowing what is going on with DJ Moore right now, I think Loveland at 3 it's spicy, but I don't hate it. Tucker Kraft at 4 is difficult for me, not knowing when he'll be back and healthy. Harold Fannin Jr. and Tyler Warren, personally, right now, I would be okay with going Harold Fannin Jr. over Tucker Kraft for sure. I am going to go Tyler Warren over Tucker Kraft as well right now. I know we don't know who the quarterback is going to be for Indianapolis, but we know Tyler Warren is going to be out there barring a preseason injury or offseason injury. Tyler Warren will probably be 100% to begin the year, where Tucker Kraft probably isn't. I would leave Tucker Kraft and Sam Laporta at 6 and 7. If Tyler Warren were to get a significant upgrade at the quarterback position, so say we go with Malik Willis. I have to let out a yawn. Oh man. I was holding that one in for a little bit. And all of a sudden it just kind of hit me, and I was like, oh man, I got to yawn. You ever have that where you're like, you're good, you're juiced up, you're feeling it, and all of a sudden you're just kind of like, oh man, I got tired really fast. Depending on the quarterback position, if we get a reliable quarterback in Indianapolis or a dynamic quarterback in Indianapolis, Tyler Warren probably goes above Colston Loveland for me. If DJ Moore were to be traded, then Colston Loveland would go back to 3. Harold Fannin Jr., I think if you want safety, I go Harold Fannin Jr. at 3 and Colston Loveland at 4. If you want upside, then you leave it as is. Colston Loveland at 3, Harold Fannin at 4. I will leave Tucker Kraft and Sam Laporta at 6 and 7 while we await to hear more injury news from both of them. Kyle Pitts at number 8. If Atlanta tags him and brings him back, then Kyle Pitts for me, if Kirk Cousins remains as quarterback, Kyle Pitts would go above Sam Laporta and Tucker Kraft. If we find out that Tucker Kraft is 100% to start the season, then Tucker Kraft would bounce all the way up to number 3 for me. He would go all the way up to number 3. If we find out that Sam Laporta is 100% to start the season, Sam Laporta would sit at probably tight end 5, maybe tight end 4. Dalton Kincaid at number 9. I've got no issue with leaving him there. Dude could break out, though, sooner rather than later. Oronde Gadsden at number 10 is interesting. I don't hate putting him inside the top 12. Keenan Allen shouldn't be back. I got another one. Oh. Sorry, chat. Whew. Jake Ferguson at number 11. Juwan Johnson at number 12. I'm okay with both of those guys. Oh, Kittle, there is a scenario in which George Kittle doesn't play in 2026. There is a scenario where George Kittle does not play a down in 2026. I think your best case scenario, your best hope is maybe he can play limited snaps halfway through the season. That was late in the year for an Achilles tear, and I think those are typically a year. Mark Andrews is interesting. Mark Andrews is interesting for me because Isaiah Likely could end up being gone. If he is, I don't think that's a terrible thing. I don't think it necessarily hurts him if Isaiah Likely stays because Isaiah Likely hasn't really done much of anything so far. Every once in a while, he has a huge game. And then he's gone for the other 14 weeks after that, and then has one more at the end of the season. Mark Andrews is an interesting top 12 option for me if Baltimore doesn't add another weapon. Travis Kelce, I think, is interesting if he returns to Kansas City, but it also depends on who his quarterback ends up being. Dallas Goedert will be interesting. He's a free agent. Dallas Goedert's a free agent, so it'll be interesting to see where he potentially lands. Because I think if he lands in the right situation where he can get a solid amount of volume, then Dallas Goedert at that point kind of pops into, for sure, inside that top 12 atmosphere. You'd have to wonder how Dallas Goedert would fare with like a Minnesota. TJ Hawkinson could be a cap casualty. Maybe you sign Dallas Goedert and bring him in. I would say probably not. They probably go for a lower tier tight end free agent. What if Dallas Goedert were to go to Tennessee? Let's talk about that. A what if scenario. Let's say Dallas Goedert goes to Tennessee and lands with Cam Ward. I think it's conceivable to say that he's locked inside the top 12. I think it's a potential top 10 or 5 option at that point because of the amount of volume he's going to get. The amount of volume that Dallas Goedert could get with a team like Tennessee. I'd love to see that. I think Tennessee needs to add a playmaker for Cam Ward. Alec Aomanor, Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley could be a cap casualty. There are some guys that I think are solid in Tennessee, but Chiggy Oko is also a free agent. He hasn't really been utilized all that much, but you never know with a new coaching staff how that turns out. Do I think the 49ers signed Goddard for a year? I think that they would be closer to signing like David Njoku for a year than Goddard. But I could easily see Dallas Goedert being a really solid top 12 option if he lands there. Let me see. I think Jake Tonjes is a free agent. But I don't know if he's restricted or not. I should be looking up Jake Tonjes' contract. I should spell it right. There it is. He's a restricted free agent. Jake Tonjes is. That was my question. I would be willing to bet that he lands back in San Francisco. I think Jake Tonjes is a sneaky top 12 option. Yeah, TJ Hawkinson could land as a veteran contract on the team. I think he's going to get cut in Minnesota. I think they try to save some money there. But I do think that they're going to have to add somebody back. You know, those would be, I wouldn't say the New York Jets. Plus, I like Mason Taylor. I think he's just got to be utilized better. You could maybe argue the New York Giants for Dallas Goedert, but I don't think they should spend that money when you have Theo Johnson and Daniel Bellinger. New England, you know, maybe New England is one that gives Dallas Goedert a shot, and then you have him and Hunter Henry paired together. I don't think that's the craziest thing in the world. Maybe New Orleans. Juwan Johnson hasn't been terrible, and he's gotten a new deal recently, so they're probably not trying to replace him. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Dallas Goedert. The one person that I'll kind of throw in there that we need to keep our eye on is Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon. Will be a first-round pick. I think there is a chance he goes in the top 10. You know, if you've been around for a while, you know how I feel about drafting tight ends that high. You know. For me personally, I don't know if I'm drafting him in the top 10. He's a first round pick though, and I think he is comparable to Colston Loveland in terms of he can block, but he is an uber athlete after the catch. He actually might be more of an athlete than Colston Loveland, honestly. And Loveland is as good as it gets after the catch. Sadiq is a guy that blocks well, but he has the strength of a tight end and the agility of a wide receiver. When you talk about what the Atlanta Falcons did with Kyle Pitts and moving him from tight end to wide receiver, if you talk about former Michigan tight end Devin Funchess, he moved to wide receiver and then ended up playing wide receiver in the NFL. When you talk about guys that played at the tight end position and then kind of moved to wide receiver, Kenyon Sadiq is a guy that I think would be the best at doing it, and he could still block. Very good. When you watch the film on Sadiq, you see a hyper athlete. Penn State did a lot of things with Tyler Warren where they would line him up in the backfield. They'd put him in the slot. They would do end arounds with him and things like that. And they were highly successful with Tyler Warren. Kenyon Sadiq did the same thing at Oregon. Or they were highly, I don't know what I said there about Tyler Warren. They were effective with him at Penn State. But if they were to have done things like that with Kenyon Sadiq would have been just an absolute monster to try and stop. Sadiq is very good. Very good. I don't like tight ends in the first round, though. And I certainly don't like tight ends in the top 12, top 10, top 5. But if you're going to do it, you have to know who or how to develop your tight end and how to utilize them. You have to know if you can't do it, don't draft them. So that's our kind of top 12 with the tight end position, and we'll go over it again and open up the floor. I'm going to give you kind of the top 12 that we talked about. Let me know what you're thinking. Trey McBride at 1, 2 Brock Bowers, 3 Colston Loveland, 4 Harold Fannin, 5 Tyler Warren, 6 Tucker Kraft, 7 Sam Laporta, 8 Kyle Pitts, 9 Dalton Kincaid, 10 Oronde Gadsden, 11 Jake Ferguson, 12 Juwan Johnson. What teams do I think draft Sadiq? I don't think the Rams do. They've used some draft capital at the tight end position recently. I don't think that they would add Sadiq at 14. I also think there's a really good chance Sadiq is gone before then. I think the Denver Broncos would be a good fit for Sadiq, but he won't fall that far. If Travis Kelce decides to retire, could be a great fit for Kansas City, especially considering we don't know what's going to happen with Rashee Rice. I mean, if Dallas Goedert walks and Philadelphia trades A.J. Brown, Sadiq to Philadelphia, I think is a really good fit. Man. There's a couple of websites that have Tampa Bay listed as needing a tight end, and I feel like that's a bit much. I think Washington for Sadiq is a good fit. But I would rather, if for some reason Jeremiah Love is still there, I would much rather have them go with Jeremiah Love. And if for some reason Sadiq isn't there if for some reason Love isn't there when Washington comes up, I think you have to work on your defense before you draft a tight end that high. That would be my thought. Chat, let's chat for a second. Let's chat. So I did not go live last Thursday. And the reason I didn't go live last Thursday is for a reason I brought up a couple of times now, and this is completely okay. I'm just navigating what is best content-wise for the channel. And I like doing the live shows, But live shows for me are much better to produce and to give you really good content when people show up for you. People show up for it. Here's my thing. I love to live stream. I love to talk with the chat. I love to interact with you. I have difficulties live streaming when there's not very many people there. And if you are there for all the live streams, greatly appreciated. And if you're not, I understand. I get it. I'm not trying to scold you or anything like that. So my thought process is last Thursday, we kind of wanted to focus on some recorded content. So I didn't go live last Thursday. I'm heavily leaning towards only doing this show on Mondays moving forward. Now, when we get closer to the season and more people start to come back, when the channel's not dead in terms of views, then we go back to potentially 2 times a week. I think as of right now, once a week on Mondays, coming together for an hour to 2 hours, I think that's probably going to be the route that I go with it. And we'll go live only on Mondays. Brian, what's up, man? No worries. Welcome in. So that's kind of my thought process with Headliners Unfiltered. I think it's a solid show. I think it's a solid concept, and you can say what you think in the chat too. Like, let me know in the chat. Do you like the content as is? Perfect. If you don't, what is it, something that you would like to have changed? Is there an addition? I think I have some fun ideas for the show, but I think this season probably won't be able to do them. I think it would have to be a next year thing. And then Thursdays, I won't go live, and I'll use Thursdays to work on my Friday video that will come out. And then, like I said, we get closer to the season, views start to get pretty high again, and then we kind of go from there. I tried streaming a night stream with this, and we had less people show up than we do during the day, which happens. That's okay. Wanted to test it out. Mondays, right now, we've got 48 concurrent viewers. And typically on Mondays, we're anywhere between 40 and 50 concurrent viewers, maybe even a little bit higher than 50 every once in a while. On Thursdays, it doesn't seem like nearly as many people make it. We're talking in the teens, which is a pretty large drop. So I say what we plan on. I say what we plan on is that we focus on Mondays moving forward. Headliners Unfiltered, Mondays at noon. We'll catch you up on anything that happened over the weekend and throughout the week. We'll talk breaking news. We'll talk like we did today. We'll have to do running backs and wide receivers next time. Because like I said, I have to be done at 1 today because I got a couple of things I got to run out and take care of. And then I got to be back here for the kids. So yeah, I'm thinking we focus Mondays at noon Eastern Standard Time right here, Headliners Unfiltered. Every Monday throughout the rest of the off season. And when things start to heat back up, when we get into maybe draft time, when we get into off-season stuff, like during workouts and players start coming back, and that means views are starting to come back, maybe we'll change it up a little bit. But let's focus on Mondays moving forward, chat. I appreciate everybody being here today. I think we had a great conversation about quarterbacks and tight ends. Next Monday, we'll be back to talk about running backs and wide receivers. And who knows, with running backs and wide receivers, maybe that will take the entire time. Who knows? Maybe we'll only be able to do one position if things get a little wild. Headliner Nation, appreciate y'all being here. Make sure you stay safe. Make sure you stay healthy. Come on back. Come on back on Monday. Greg, we'll see you back. Papa J, any recent purchases for the PC? None. Nope. Aaron, have a good one. Brian, see you back on Monday. That was Brian Larkin. Brian Keith, appreciate you being here as well. Greg, appreciate you. Papa J, have a good one. Headliner Nation, stay safe, stay healthy. Aaron, have a good one. Catch you on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners. See you later.